Okay, beginning of turn 8 in the God Kings. Let's see what we got. We collected up the points for everyone, dealt out the cards. Kassite's helped one. Point-wise, we're seeing tribute points of 9 with 8 wood for the Egyptians. 11 with 9 wood for the Kassites. They're going to have kind of the better army by a little bit here, which is cool. They're facing as good a general, though. The two generals are well matched here, with a worse general or king coming in for the Kassites in the long run. Over here for the Assyrians, only 2 tribute points and 3 wood. Their screw up by not getting Mitanni has hurt them a lot, not just in victory points, but also now their production's kind of dissed. And they're facing 8 tribute points and 6 wood for the Hatti. The Assyrians are trying to see, hey, can I get a deal? You know, well, the Sumerians, does it make sense for me to give the Sumerians my wood point that's extra? Can I get a tribute point out of it? And the Sumerians are not terribly pleased with that idea because they have a couple of locations that they need to throw a garrison in. They're okay having a few less chariots. They think they're outnumber the Egyptians already, so they've got an advantage moving that way. And the Hatti have all the advantages. I think they're going to be able to crush the Assyrians this turn, at least in terms of numerical and other advantages. And, you know, honestly, the Kassites are perfectly happy playing along. They don't care which one of those two comes out ahead. In fact, they'd rather the Hatti come out ahead. They just don't want to anger Assyria and have them come charging into them. Alright, well, I guess we're ready to go. We have the turn order set up, and we're moving into that first round. Got a little change in the order, with the Kassites going first now, because they scored good points last turn. And we're set up for that first round to start with Egypt and the Babylonians positioned here along the coastline, and the Assyrians and the Hatti positioned up in the mountains. Really, there isn't much to do. I mean, there isn't a lot of maneuver you can take. If I had, say, well, one option, and the Assyrians go last, is they could position themselves here and grab some of this rear area. Let me look at their cards, because I think they're going to do that unless they have the ability to build another army. Here, it doesn't look like they do. Ooh, they have other things. If they can get Mitanni, they can play the Great King card. So they want to do this. I need one more space for that. Put all my leaders in one place. It gives me the most flexibility. Alright. Well, we'll move on. They want to defend their position here. That's why they're not starting a Mitanni and taking advantage of that. I've got to look at the cards before I make my decision of where to set up, though. And I've been kind of failing to do that. Let me scan them and make sure I'm doing the right thing. And the Babylonians open things up just slamming down into the Egyptians. No chariot success, but both lose half their losses in chariots. It was an absolute tie, actually. Both doing 17 losses to the opponent on that massive major table. The Egyptians are going to gain a victory point from their battle, and they're also going to play this rally card. They tried to intercept and failed in this space. Restores 2 units reduced during the battle to their full strength size, or bring back 2 units destroyed in the battle to their reduced strength size. Well, we're going to save a couple of our chariots, and guess what? The Babylonians actually have the exact same card. They have a better one too, and they're going to do the same thing, I believe. And then they withdraw back to Simira. Alright, onward. The Egyptians play the first time an Elamite raid. With each of the countries seems to have one of these. In this particular case, it affects the Sumerians only. Oops, forgot to put this into place. The Egyptians don't think that they particularly want to try to bash their way through the Sumerians. They've got a slight advantage staying on the defensive, and they see the Sumerians as having the weaker leader in the wings. He didn't come in this time. What this does, the way it's worded, it sounds like the Sumerians must try to make it there if they can. Well, they're not going to be able to reach. 1, 2, 3, 4. They just can't reach with any army that they can make. So they're kind of absolved of it, but it's going to cost them 2 victory points. So, what does this really do for Egypt? Not much. But they're kind of retaliating in their own little way. Whatever. They had to play something. It may not have been the best move. Alright, onward. Now the Hatti have done the same thing with an Aramean raid that affects Assyria. In this case, the way the card's worded, the Assyrians, if they activate to move, have to go back to there because they can reach 1, 2, 3. And if they do so, they're not penalized, but it's going to take their move, and it's going to open things up for the Hatti to advance without as much trouble. In terms of, I love having people walking around on cell phones. In terms of other options, well, the Assyrians don't have to send their entire army. They could send a portion of their army. Only requires that they send at least 3 units, which seems to be the limit. You have to send at least 3 units to take territories and stuff like that. So they could actually leave a good portion of their army, but their army's not that big. They kind of want to keep it together. Here's the disadvantage. They also kind of like fighting in the mountains. They have a slight disadvantage in terms of chariots, I think. Yeah, they do. So they may actually not send their whole force. Anyway, this is a weakening that is being done by the Hatti to the Assyrians with the intention, one way or another, they're going to push them some kind of advantage. At the worst, the Assyrians could stay there, play an event card. They're allowed to do that, by the way it's worded, and take a 2 victory point penalty. The Assyrians open things up by playing this Favor of Samash. It's a minor campaign that allows them to activate 2 stacks. One was the 2-point leader with a division that he sent this way, and the other one is their main king. Comes down 1, 2, and then back. As long as he leaves a division back, up here he can't be intercepted, so it's all good. And he's taken 1, 2. Yeah, he couldn't have taken more. He doesn't have enough chariots to do any kind of cold raiding type stuff or pushing deeper in. But he's gotten Mitanni province, which is the thing he needs for his victory point card. He's dispelled this, as it were, and we don't have to worry about it now. We go to round 2, and we take a look at the other things, starting with the Sumerians, who have a real problem. Well, the Egyptians are playing a delaying game. The Kassites launched another attack, moved down to Byblos, and made an attack into here. Now, at this point, this is kind of a problem, because the Egyptians no longer control the area. They may actually want this battle, because maybe they could have won it, but on their hand, they played, again, kind of oddly. They threw an ill omen down. Hey, your battle didn't happen. You're back. They delayed another turn. Is this what the Babylonians want in particular? Not really, but it's not good for the Egyptians either because they have lost ground. However, here's the advantage. They can play a PC marker to flip this over to an Egyptian territory if they can hold out in the current situation until the end of the turn. I set everything up for the battle, and now it's not happening. The Babylonians have taken 2 victory points. I had to take this off their permanent, and I think that's where it's supposed to go from, because if it went from their temporaries, which they have none of, so it can't, it would skew the effect of how well they're doing on the world map this turn. Alright, let's keep going. Well, I'll be playing this. The Assyrians moved in and attacked in Ishua. The Hatti moved in and attacked there. The Assyrians, much smaller force, much better leader, 2 shifts in their favor for that, equal in terms of divisions, way below in terms of chariots, but that's okay. Strength isn't everything. They've got 3 shifts in their favor due to public as well as their leadership. They had another shift in their favor in their hand as a card, which they didn't play because the attacker played Chaos of War. The battle is going to be done without any die roll modifiers. I'm not sure what the strengths are here. 9, 15, 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 19 and 24 sounds like 43. The Hatti are in that top tier. But let's look at the Assyrians. 12, 24, 30. They are not. They're a little weaker. And now we're at even. I'm going to use the red die for the Hatti. And they rolled very well. So they're going to do 19. And the Assyrians only do 13. So the Hatti are going to get a victory point because there's at least 6 units involved. But, more importantly, they're doing more damage and they're going to drive the Assyrians out of here into the Mitanni province and cause them some problems. We'll see how that all turns out. And the Assyrians, now the Hatti army is kind of fragile at this point. They have a lot of chariots left. I forgot to include a couple of their mercenaries that I left up in the box. They took a lot of their losses on those, luckily. They don't have to take them on anything because it's mountainous terrain and they couldn't do a charge. But the Assyrians want to play this card while they've got the chance. And they're going to get 3 quick victory points for the Great King because they have Mitanni and Assyria still. This is leaving them in a weaker position than they'd be otherwise. They want to make sure they get those points just in case bad things keep happening. They're hoping they won't, but... And they're kind of making them more likely to happen by moving there. But they could very easily lose 1 political space without any real chance of making that up. Alright, so we'll move up to the 3rd round, and this one's going up. And I think that fulfills my need for today, so I can go smoke and have a drink.